I think it's just a huge deal for me because it's the first time I get to play on such a big stage and it's being broadcasted. So it's kind of like my moment to prove myself and show that I'm one of the best mid laners.
Hello and welcome back for Game 2 of the College Championship Finals. UCI won the first game very, very convincingly. They showed that they had not only the individual talent, but the team play required to be champions here today. We'll have to see if Columbia College can respond.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And so far, Descarton has been showing that he is one of the best. I think he has really been impressing me throughout this entire event. You know, very strong Swain. His Predator Vladimir was looking really good. He's had a very strong rise. So a bunch of different picks. And you know, with that focus and pick ban on Julian, he was able to kind of come out on top again.
We'll see if they target Julian the same way as we're about to enter picks and bans for the second time here today, because that focus was impressive in just how many resources they were wanting to keep away from him. And now they are on the opposite side of the rift. As was said previously, both sides have picked red so far, so we'll see if having that last pick option, that counter pick option, will work any magic here for Columbia College.
I mean, UCI has shown that they're a team that kind of just sticks to what works. And I am expecting to see very, very similar pick ban from them, you know, as far as especially at least the first 3 bans. Obviously, the last 2 can be kind of reactive, but triple ban towards Julian once again. Graves taken away from Youngbin, Trundle taken away from Youngbin, so that's more kind of the focus here for Columbia College. They do not want Youngbin to have that early priority. They don't want him to be in Buckzak's face, and kind of really that is where a lot of the advantages in the early stages stem from for UCI.
And one thing I'm immediately noticing, Kaisa and Irelia, 2 of the absolute strongest champions around right now, both were banned away during first ban phase last time around. Both got through this time around. I would be highly surprised to not see either of those champions picked up.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, Ezreal first picked again here for Latman. UCI really does like what it does for them in draft. It gives them, you know, kind of a very safe AD carry. He's going to be scaling up. It can allow you to even push in and sometimes try to poke out your opponents with the teleport advantage. And you know, with the jungle help, we saw even in this kind of disadvantageous 2v2 bot lane, they were able to get turret off of it. So has been very consistent for them and has allowed Youngbin to kind of play around the top side of the map. And I think that's something that they really do value quite a lot. The Varus as an answer is a very strong laning carry, AD carry, and straight to the Sejuani. This shows, hey, like they needed the hard engage. I talked about that at the end of last game. If UCI is going to go back to this style, you can't afford to just be sitting on a Trundle trying to pillar people in. Sejuani gives you the opportunity to actually, you know, flash, engage, ultimates, the Q knockup, and these sorts of things do give you a way to potentially force some team fights.
Well, we're talking about hard engages. Another nice hard engage will be the Skarner ulti there for UC Irvine. They'll pick him up as the jungler. They'll have the Morgana there as well to make sure they can provide black shields to their own teammates, as well as keep it out of the hands of Columbia College.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if the other team's going to draft or engage, well, Morgana is very good at kind of helping to stop that, right? With the Black Shield, you can immune that Sejuani ultimate. You also have Varus, though, with an engage ultimate there. And if anyone is able to hit any of that CC, Swain can follow up with the passive pull-in. So Columbia College is kind of doing a bit of a 180 here, going from no engage, no kind of hard crowd control in that previous game to quite a lot more, where they want to be able to start fights. They want to be able to make things happen if UCI is going to try to spread them thin.
Let's see how they decide to play the second part of the bans here. Last time around, it was bottom lane and junglers picked by both sides. This time around, 5 out of 6 are the same, but having that Swain in there might switch things up a little bit here as we get into the second half of the bans. Gnar banned out by UC Irvine. They're saying, look, we played this last time when we had final pick of the draft. We don't want you to be able to do the same.
Yeah, and if Captain Nuke is actually planning on just blind picking a tank, well, Gnar is pretty damn annoying to actually lane against for basically every tank. So we'll see if that's going to be the case. But we know Stumpy can play carries as well, right? So I wouldn't be shocked to see him bust something like that out. If we do get a blind pick tank, well, he showed Fiora yesterday. He did show Yasuo. You know, he can obviously play some of these more aggressive picks. Has a lot of those in his repertoire. And we will see if he's going to be willing to go for it. Yeah, so it feels like they're both kind of agreeing. UCI wants to blind pick a tank. You know, UCI is saying, okay, well, I don't want to play against Gnar because I want to blind pick tank. And then Columbia College is like, well, okay, well, Cho'Gath is probably the most safe blind pick tank, so you don't get that. And then they're banning out the Fiora preemptively. Like this is all saying very much that Captain Nuke is going to get a blind pick tank unless their drafting doesn't really make sense.
Well, Columbia College will decide to go with the Tom Kench for themselves. That'll be played in the support role. So now they can see how UCI is going to round out this comp before they make that final ever so important counter pick. Cho'Gath banned away, Gnar banned away, Fiora banned away, and the Karma, which is highly unlikely to be played top, also banned away, just throwing it out there for completion's sake. Zoe locked in by UC Irvine. This was also banned away in game number 1. So yet another difference that we're going to see between these two matches here.
You know, it could be Malphite. We've seen that prioritized more highly in collegiate. If this were LCS, I'd be saying Scion. You obviously do have the opportunity to get something like, you know, even a Camille or an Aurelia if you want to go for a split push style. So we'll see if they're going to lock that in. That does make top lane very snowbally. He is going to be going for the Aurelia. So if we do have that carry versus carry matchup, there certainly is a pretty big potential to have that swing one way or the other. Jax can be a pretty good matchup actually into Aurelia and can really deal with that fairly well. Not sure if Stumpy is comfortable playing it. Camille versus Aurelia, in my experience, has been pretty Aurelia favorite early on, but can actually go over to the Camille in late game, and he is going to go with the Jax. And this is an answer I really love. It's something that I have used myself and seen used to pretty good effect into that Aurelia. And not only can you deal with it pretty early on, usually as far as just kind of like surviving the lane and not dying, not giving anything too much up, Jax will just straight up outscale this Aurelia 1v1. You don't have to retreat when the Hail of Blades comes out late game. You just stand and fight. Yeah.
Start twirling your staff and go right back in and
There's no
fight.
disarm because you're not running away. So this is a really nice counter pick here for Stumpy, and I think that a lot of the changes here made from Columbia College are extremely intelligent. Shows that they have a good coaching staff, a good understanding of what went wrong in the first game. The Tom Kench answers a lot of the pick potential, not only from the Drowsy from Zoe, the Bindings from Morgana, the Skarner Ultimate, and one of the nice real bonuses here with Tom Kench is the semi-global pressure that his ultimate brings. The Abyssal Voyage can actually come to his side lane, interrupt that 1v1, never make it a fair fight in the top lane, and if you can put Stumpy ahead, Columbia College could have a lot of success.
And with all that CC that you were talking about earlier, anybody that comes along with Tom Kench is bringing something to the party. You're not bringing in a Trundle. You're not bringing in something that's not going to lend or a Cho'Gath, right? You've got big engage tools that this guy could be bringing from anywhere around the Rift. We'll see if Columbia College can make this more CC-laden comp work out, or if UCI can take it to game point. Their first win was, again, very, very convincing. They clearly know how to play that type of a composition. Let's see if they can do just as much here on this one. We're getting on to Summoner's Rift for the second game of the day in this best of 5 to find our 2018 collegiate champions.
Yeah, UCI has a lot of opportunities to win this game as well. I mean, certainly there are chances here for Columbia College, but you can just straight up outlane, outfight your opponents. They can 5v5 with this. They can look to still win a split push style. Jax answers Aurelia very well, but if Aurelia gets ahead of you, you don't always get to kind of arrive at that really strong point where Jax can take over the game. So we'll see how the pressure works. You know, if Youngbin's going to be up on that top side of the map, trying to pressure there, and you can see Dean actually going for Cleanse, Flash, and Guardian. So this is about as defensive as it gets, about as, you know, much as he can do to really kind of keep Evan RL safe. The Guardian Shield can be very effective to kind of protect your AD carry, but also having the Cleanse to be able to actually eat any CC, or if you both get CC'd, you can Cleanse and still gobble up your AD carry to keep him safe. Kind of just skips you having to go for that QSS.
Only thing that you do have to be careful with the QSS for is the Skarner ulti. Contrary to what we may or may not have read on Twitter in previous posts, Suppress is not removed by Cleanse. So you have to make
Maybe
sure...
if you believe real hard.
Okay, if you believe real hard, then maybe it'll work. But conventional knowledge would lead us to believe that Youngbin's pull would still be a threat to Dean if he finds himself out of position. But at the same time, whenever we see these Kenches, we always see them sitting right next to the AD carries, right next to the guys that they need to keep safe, because they know that's the entire reason behind it.
Exactly, and if something happens, like he gets bound up and you know your AD carry gets ulted, well, you can cleanse out and maybe save him from that Skarner ult or double Aurelia stun hits. These sorts of things still can be very useful. So maybe he'll need to get a QSS later on, but definitely when I see cleanse, I don't think that the Tom Kench is planning on rushing a QSS at that point. It's going to at least kind of allow you to delay, and you know, at the very least force yourself to be the target.
Columbia College pushing in on the bottom lane here early on, and honestly, pushing in was one of the big issues that beset Columbia College in game number 1. It was because their top lane was getting pushed in that their jungler then found himself in a spot where he couldn't compete. In mid lane, although Julian had the push early, he was the one who eventually also always had to yield to the roams of the Swain. So seeing Columbia College in a spot where they might be able to do a little bit better could be important. Flash away from Julian, making sure he evades the fracture from young Ben Skarner so he will not fall to that gank.
Yeah, well done by him. But that is still a flash for Ignite trade. Definitely positive for UCI, and Stumpy kind of fighting it out against Captain Nuke here. Did elect to actually go W level 2, so no leap strike there for the Jax. Does kind of give you better straight up dueling, but you do lose the ability to kind of evade or chase down a little bit, but obviously level 3 no longer matters. Gonna be interested to see how he really wants to play this out. If he's gonna rush straight for the Triforce, as some players like to do, which does give you kind of a better actual straight up 1v1. But a lot of players these days on both Aurelia and Jax, most players in fact, are just going straight Tiamat and then into it because it gives you so much more wave clear, so much more wave control, and that's often what top lane is about. If you have the wave control, you can threaten roams, you can help invade with your jungler, you can do all these various things, even if you're behind, helping to clear out the wave to prevent a wave from being stacked and then used to help dive you. So there's a lot of different reasons to rush that, but still some players do really prefer just the straight up raw 1v1 power that Triforce can bring.
Well, right now, Captain Nuke is in control of the lane, shoving that one up. And of course, without the Tiamat on either side, when Captain Nuke has the reset potential of the Blade Surge, he's able to get a lot more push going on than Stumpy has. Tries to lay down the stun there, can't quite find it. Counter-Strike used by Stumpy to return a little bit of damage here on this one. As you can see, Buckzak hanging around the top side just in case there's a chance, but it doesn't look like Captain Nuke's going to give it to him. Recognizes a good time to get himself back. Remember, the Swain does not have any sort of a flash. They likely could finish him off here. One more hit would do it, but he still walks away.
That is so close, and Julian barely surviving is huge for Columbia. He has the teleport, and Descraton does not, so he's not even going to be able to actually fully push in the waves. This does mean some CS will be sacrificed here from Descraton, and Julian going to be pretty happy to have just squeaked his way out of that one.
So close. One more auto attack would have taken him down, but considering both opponents were only one turret shot away from death, it would have been a trade at best, which is not what UCI was looking to set up there. Julian goes back to base, doesn't particularly have a fantastic buy, so I guess there's a bit of a silver lining on the dark cloud there for UCI, but still comes back, still not first blooded just yet. And Columbia College, 300 gold up this early on into the game.
Feeling good, feeling good. You can see the bottom lane working out pretty well. It gets very hard to actually play a Morgana aggressively into something like a Tahm Kench unless you can really just poke them out, but then the Varus has a lot of lane power against the Ezreal, so that can become difficult really for them to get an advantage. So things going pretty well so far, certainly, for Columbia College. Mid lane positive a little bit and has absorbed some pressure. Bottom lane going positive a little bit as well. And top lane, I generally think anytime a Jax is farming evenly against an Aurelia, that is considered positive.
Because the scaling eventually will happen, right? The inevitability of late game Jax showing up with
Clock is ticking.
4 items.
It's always ticking against the Jax, and that's one of those things that can kind of feel daunting sometimes when you are playing top lane. If you don't feel like you can pressure stuff like a Fiora or a Jax or a Nasus or whatever you're playing against, these champions that have these crazy scaling, it can be so frustrating because you know that there's going to come a point where you can't win anymore.
I feel like you're waiting to lose.
Yeah.
Which, not where UCI wants to find themselves, but we'll see how well they can address that as this goes on. We know what Irelia is no slouch in the scaling department either. The champion has the ability to really run wild, especially if she can get ahead. But right now, Stumpy's having a pretty good time here in the top lane. The stuns on these two champions, very important in the 1 versus 1. Stumpy fighting back against Captain Nuke, and there's exactly what you were talking about, Azael.
Yep.
I don't care about the Ring of Blades if I don't have to step into it.
Yep, stand and fight. And Stumpy might have been able to actually flash W and kill with his passive hit, but it's close, and if Captain Nuke, reactively flashes, he gets away. So he doesn't feel like he needs to risk it, right? He's saying, all right, I'm farming, I'm scaling, things are good. So when Aurelia goes in with the Hail of Blades, you immediately ultimate. And when you see the stun coming in, you can just pop your Counter-Strike. It's kind of similar to why Jax works well into Camille. Camille goes for a hook shot, you just press Counter-Strike and just let it sit up. So even if you get hit by the stun, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to engage into that, right? They kind of just have to back off. It becomes very difficult for those champions to really deal with effectively. And because there is no inherent jungle advantage for Young Bin just yet, it's going to be more about playmaking. It's going to be more about how UCI can execute in these ganks and in these team fights when they don't just have the inherent lane advantages.
I mean, looking at this game compared to the first game that we saw, Buckzak is not 15 CS behind already. He's not having to yield camp after camp after camp to his opponent. And that really is just hats off, like you said earlier, to these guys on the side of Columbia College, recognizing where the errors were in the draft last time around, trying a different strategy, and putting Buckzak in a spot where we're saying, okay, you have the ability to be the one behind the wheel this time. Especially now that he's just hit level 6 on that Sejuani. Level 6 for Skarner here as well. We'll see which one of these two can get involved first. 8 minutes in, still no first blood, but with those tools available, that could change very rapidly, Azale.
Yeah, and Zoe was kind of cheating down to the bottom side. I'm not sure if they actually spotted Sejuani going back to base. There are a couple wards in the jungle, but they could look to make a play around blue if they want to. You can see that Latman and Bloodwater are trying to push up very heavily. That's why Latman actually spends his ult on the wave, so that Skarner can then kind of move forward and threaten and invade onto this blue buff. So everything is kind of working well together. And we'll see if they do start it up, and they will. So UCI just, again, kind of playing to their lane push, playing to their strengths. But Columbia College has an ability to get over here and try to challenge for this.
Descraton just trying to zone these guys away long enough to steal that blue buff. Youngbin's already got it, and he's getting his way out. Nice deny of that. Will keep it away from Julian's hands, which means wave clearing will be that much more of a pain.
Yep.
So nice little quality of life there for UCI thanks to that steal. Plus, as the jungler, that means you get a blue now as the fight's going to break out 2 versus 2 here in the mid lane. Descraton taken very low, not going to be hit by the second part of the never move. Youngbin keeping Julian held away with the power of the Skarner ultimate. Descraton wants to provide a little bit of extra damage, but not really any way to go any closer than he was. UCI will walk away.
Yeah, Columbia College coming up positive from the play, though. 2 flashes actually forced, in exchange for just the ultimates used. And Youngbin had a nice little play there, actually ulting the Swain to actually pull him away, so he couldn't use that ultimate R2 to kind of explode and actually get the kill over on the Zoe. Couldn't flash follow. So instead of pulling him back to the turret, which most players would do, he pulls him up in the lane away from his Zoe, so he can't actually flash follow for the detonation in the first blood. So small little thing, but smart thinking there from Youngbin.
That's how you be a good teammate. Not just prioritizing the kills, but keeping them away from the bad guys.
Flowers would have pulled him to the turret.
I would have drugged him
Zoe
straight into that turret, straight into my mid laner, and walked away 300 gold.
Exactly.
There's a reason I'm not playing in this game, Thale. But they do get the Ocean Drake on the side of Columbia College. That's the first neutral objective this game going down. And picking them up early does feel good because you've got the extra lane sustain while this laning phase is still going strong.
Yeah, and Stumpy actually stole away the blue at the same time. So, he was able to trade it back solo. That's very, very nice to have pressure to do that. And we can see Stumpy is going to go straight for a Triforce Rush. He wants, more about that dueling power, less about the wave control. Captain Nuke will be making a pit stop for the Tiamat, and it's always nice, especially, with this new Aurelia, getting the Tiamat first is very, very common, and it can kind of set up for Blaze Surge resets that much more easily. The AD scaling also quite nice here on Aurelia, and making it a pretty standard buy, but it does mean that when Jax hits Triforce, you won't have yours, generally speaking, unless you're way ahead. So at that stage, the Jax certainly will have the dueling advantage.
For now, the push continues. Captain Nuke will make sure Stumpy's very familiar with the scenery underneath this turret. Youngbin shows up and forces Stumpy back. Level 9 on both these top laners. It's still dangerous to dive Jax when he has the ultimate, when he has the counter-strike available, but a dive is not the name of the game. Instead, it's just make him miss the farm, make him miss the CS.
Yeah, and the experience is really big too, right? You give up the farm, you give up the experience, that it's always going to kind of feel really bad, and that's one of the reasons that sometimes people go for Tiamat, because he can't actually clear the wave fast enough to stop this, and they are going to go in for it.
See if they can make the dive work here. Trying to use the Skarner pull there as well. Vanguard.
Oh, the disarm!
The disarm will keep him away, but it's still going to be a 1-for-1 thanks to the rotation coming in from these mid laners. Let's see if Julian can do anything in the 1 versus 2.
Buckzak's coming too.
Have the Swain ultimate ticking. You're doing a lot of work here. Buckzak over the wall will lock him down long enough for Julian to grab the kill, and it's 2-for-1. Columbia College.
Yeah, well responded to. They actually get the first blood there as well. So while Stumpy doesn't get any of the kills and has to give up some farm, picks up a couple of assists, and now this Swain is going to be off to the races with a first blood and an additional kill there.
That's exactly where Columbia College wants to put Julian, this ex-number 1 challenger mid laner. Let's see how they set it up here one more time.
And this is, Stumpy knows he can't actually clear out the wave. Didn't start Tiamat. Good counter-strike early on. Youngbin wasn't able to actually get the ult off before that. The flash for a follow there from Stumpy, but he flashes and he actually catches the edge of that Aurelia ultimate, which gives you a disarm. So he couldn't actually get the final auto to finish. But now in the mid lane.
Oh, Descraton with the 1v1 kill against Julian. We'll have to take another look at that here in a moment to see how it all played out. But
Yeah.
right as we're saying the Swain's off to the races, Zoe just jumps right out in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, Julian hadn't gone back to base yet, so he didn't have his ultimate, hadn't spent his gold from those double kills, so no advantage had actually been kind of picked up and utilized there, and this is him, just gets caught by the Drowsy, and we've seen this show before. Descraton picks up a barrier. Oh my god.
Didn't even need the paddle star.
Yep. Has the ignite, the barrier, nicely done.
Well played, recognizing the fact that he had as much damage as he had, even without needing the paddle star damage added onto it. But now Captain Nuke finds himself needing to stop these guys from grabbing the Rift Herald. It's going to be a full-blown fight, and it is multiple members of UCI collapsing on the top half of the map from Columbia College.
Yeah, Columbia College coming over, trying to take that, but Stumpy and Bucksack very, very outnumbered and gonna go down. This may be first turret going down on the top side as well, and those are those advantages that you really don't want to be giving up.
UCI 2,000 gold ahead. They did lose the Rift Herald there. Important to note that Stumpy does have that in his possession, so
yeah.
Columbia College didn't go down for nothing there, but they will give away turret and first blood as well. Brings this game up to a 3K gold deficit, and all of a sudden, this game that I said was looking different when you compared it to the bad happenings of game number 1 early on for Columbia College. It's looking a lot more similar. And
yeah, that's an oopsie there. Drops the Rift Herald. And I mean, the thing is, even if you get the Rift Herald from that, they got first turret guaranteed. Rift Herald is the potential to maybe get a turret, right?
Right.
It's potential to get some pressure, and the disadvantages that Stumpy is now getting from these plays, the fact that he actually got, kind of zoned off some waves, then dove and dies, goes to Rift Herald, spends his time there, dies again. It's gonna put him behind.
Bucksack shows up, lays down the CC, and there's no way out for Bloodwater. Evan RL picks up that kill, and we'll see if Columbia College can get much more with it. They will take the tier 1. Nice pickup there.
Yeah, really nicely done. And you can see where these advantages are kind of coming from, right? It's about the hard engage. It's about the pick that they have been able to find. Twice, Bucksack has been able to land that Sejuani ultimate, find themselves a kill. And that is going to make a really big difference for them, in their ability to kind of make some plays. They're not too far behind. And thankfully, Stumpy has gone back to finish up his Triforce. But this play is kind of prompted by the fact that Bloodwater used his Black Shield there. They know the Black Shield is down, so Bucksack feels comfortable to go for it, and no flash available for Bloodwater means he goes down, and they lose the bottom turret.
Columbia College striking back, not just going to allow UCI to run away with this game early on. Infernal Drake spawning here in 15 seconds. You can see both sides positioning around that southern end of the river, wanting to make sure they're ready to contest for this one. It was first Drake that went over to Columbia College, not really for any sort of a contest there, and that's the power of Tahm Kench against Zoe. The Drowsy comes out, they go into Kench's belly, no chance to follow it up with the paddle star.
I'm excited to see if Columbia College is actually going to try to fight for this, because while I think that the mid and bottom lane are certainly very strong, Jax is actually quite behind the Aurelia at this point, and Aurelia is already in the mid lane, so if they start this up, Stumpy would have to TP in and kind of join late, plus UCI has mid lane control, so it seems like they've just been straight up outmaneuvered, and it's probably going to be a UCI Infernal.
UCI 5 men strong around it. They've got the Scar and Spire.
They're TPing.
Coming in. Stumpy wants to fight for this.
Is it too late, though?
Drake's being taken down very rapidly.
Yeah.
Stumpy's going to have to get in there and try to do something. The Drake's already secured. Columbia College, do they want to even go for this fight at this point? Stumpy's decided he's going to go down into the pit. It looks like the fight is breaking out, but the Scar and ulti already going to be used, bringing Stumpy right back into the fight as they continue. Captain Nuke stuck in the back part of the pit. Health bars dropping across both sides. Nuke barely able to walk himself away, but he does fall down. Eventually, multiple health bars on Columbia College, very close to 0. As the Mystic Shot will not penetrate into Bucksack. As Stumpy gets in and grabs the kill into Bloodwater. It's 1 for 1, though, as Descraton grabs the kill down onto Julian. Still looking to find some more. Maybe. He's got flashes to chase. The paddle star will find it, a double kill for the Zoe. A sleepy trouble bubble will make it almost an ace to the side of UCI.
4 kills picked up there for UCI. Columbia College they hesitate on the engage. The Infernal is already gone, and then they try to force a fight regardless, but they get kited out and cleaned up.
What a mop-up coming out from these guys. Sometimes it's easy to forget that Zoe can pick up all those flashes and keep the chase going, but in situations like that, Descraton found himself in a fantastic spot.
Yeah, definitely did. Descraton and Latman, you know, two of those carries staying alive for so long, and here it is one more time. And if you're gonna fight for this, you need to be there earlier to actually contest for the Dragon, because at this point you're just fighting over straps, and Stumpy using Bleep Strike, he jumps in over the side. Beautiful Black Shield actually on the Varus ultimate for Captain Nuke, and then Stumpy is in very deep. And look at Captain Nuke buying a lot of time here, you know, getting the ult resets with his ultimate, being able to kind of dash around, buy a fair bit of time. We see that Julian was zoning a lot of people with his ultimate, but so many people were getting chunked out. Latman is still basically completely full health. Youngbin is high on health, and Descraton starting to pick up these summoners, is able to chase him down. I mean, that's 3 flashes on the ground there.
Just chilling.
Flashes into another flash. Flashes forward again, and he is just right on top of them, picking up those final kills.
Yo, dog, I heard you like Flash. So I got some Flash to go along with your Flash, and now I've got 4 kills, 4 assists, only 1 death. Luden's Echo completed, as well as the Oblivion Orb for extra magic penetration with those Sorcerer Shoes. This Zoe damage is going to hurt like crazy if he can get a bubble down on someone.
Yep. I mean, if Tom Catch is there, it's going to do nothing, and if Tom Catch is not there, they're probably dead. So
yeah, it's going to do everything.
Yeah,
it's 0 or 10.
world out there.
Descraton happy to be in that spot that he's in right now, though. Still 3,000 gold, about the tune to lead for UCI. 19 minutes into the game. Way more kills, way bloodier than we had last time around.
And we are getting the AP Varus. So we actually saw this brought out in one other game, but the Varus was so behind that the build never actually came together. So this is actually the first game I think we're going to get to see maybe like a legit full build type AP Varus. And it is an incredible amount of burst if you haven't seen it. But it also does have very high auto attack damage. You know, Rage Blade, the fact that when it stacks up is giving you the percentage increase on your AP, as well as the AD, does make it very, very strong in conjunction with the Nashor's Tooth. They usually go third item Death Cap or Zonia's after that. And the burst with your ultimate into the Piercing Arrow can be pretty incredible. So we'll have to watch out for that. If someone gets caught by the CC, you know, Latman or Descraton or one of those types of guys, they can certainly get popped once this Varus gets going.
Same time, it does mean the side of Columbia College is pretty heavily indexed in terms of AP damage. When you've got a lot of Varus' damage output being that, Jax is a hybrid champion, Sejuani and Swain full AP. Stumpy bottom side trying to defend against this one. Julian's TP brings him into the mix to help hold the line, but it's a full UCI investment, 5 men strong here in the bottom side.
Yeah, but they can kind of do it because Columbia isn't really pushing elsewhere, right? They don't have pressure elsewhere on the map, so there's not really much lost there from the roams. 3-man squad here from Columbia College, down around mid lane, but you can see the vision is the biggest deal, right? Like, where are the wards on the map for Columbia College? There's very, very few. There's a couple now that got littered around the river and around their own jungle, but they have 0 deep vision whatsoever, so it's very hard for them to actually respond appropriately, to know where to go, and that's kind of how UCI is getting some of these edges.
UCI calling the shots. As now they call for the pick onto Julian, who's taken very low, still keeps himself alive, pops the stopwatch, keeping it there a little bit longer. MNRL grabbing the kill onto Bloodwater, stays alive, gets a double kill. Captain Nuke in the back line to finish him off. Tries to walk away with it, already a triple though for Evan RL.
Yeah, that is huge for him. He's actually TPing behind Captain Nuke.
They want to go after him. They're not willing to let him get away, but it looks like the fancy feet from the top laner of UCI will live to walk another day. They say, all right, forget about it. We don't care about him anymore. We're just going to push.
I respect the attempt, and they're going to get the turret here probably mid lane with the wave coming in, and that is going to be one fed Varus. So despite the kills being traded fairly evenly, and Captain Nuke is definitely getting more out of these fights than Stumpy has really been playing it well, and the Aurelia kind of dashing around and being able to pick up some of the kills. MNRL is getting fed, right? And we did see how powerful he was looking on the Caitlyn last game. He may get more of a chance to fight. So here it is once again. Julian getting ulted up here by Youngbin. What you want to try to do on Swain is actually, you know, pre-ult the Skarner ult, so you're actually healing during that. But the fact that he has Zonia's and Stumpy landing a really nice double stun onto some of the backline there allows Evan RL, who's just kind of free-firing, to pick up some of these kills. And Look how fast he actually chopped down that Skarner. Skarner got absolutely shredded, and he just got a triple kill after that. So now he has the safety of the QSS, plus a Tahm Kench, who also has the QSS and Cleanse. This guy has 3 QSSs.
Multiple layers of defense here to make sure FNRL stays safe. And I mean, when you look at Skarner's items, it's a Cinder Hulk and a Righteous Glory versus percent-based AP damage from a Varus. You're essentially just a giant stat padding machine for Varus's damage bar at that point.
And there's no other like real defenses being built up. Oh, that was close.
That's
been
a
trying to get
I've been in that situation before, man. That feels bad.
What are you talking about? You've never.
That feels
never
bad.
have you ever.
That's when you go on Reddit and type WTF Leap Strike and make a new thread. That's not the kind of thing you want to see. Julian continues pushing up the top side, wants to get a little more global gold here for this team, take down that final tier 1, while bottom side,
Counter-strike though.
Stumpy, who uses the counter-strike to buy as much time underneath this turret as he can. Dean and MNRL showing up to avenge their fallen friend. Descraton not long for this world. It's 1 for 1 down here so far. Captain Nuke gets himself away over the wall, back to the waiting arms of his jungler. He'll walk away, but Buckzak will shimmy and slide right back over the wall and take yet another defensive position.
Yeah, pushing up in that mid lane was UCI. It's a trade of kills, but again, FNRL picking up another one, and now they're on to Youngbin. He's gonna go down.
There's that engage, there's that CC potential. That ain't a Cho'Gath, that ain't a Trundle, but that is an enemy jungler
They're gonna go
dead.
for Baron,
and
perhaps.
Columbia College has the chance to look for this. They know the enemy jungler's dead. They know the enemy mid laner's dead. Latman will try to poke, but that's it.
And Stumpy has TP. He is rezzing right now. He can TP straight to the pit. They will go for this. This is jungler down. Columbia College looking to take control over this game. It's only 3 members from UCI.
This is the kind of moment that can completely change the flow of the game permanently. We'll see if they can pull it off. Julian on the front line, just controlling these guys, trying to zone away the rest of the enemy team. Pops the Zhonya's Hourglass, tells the team, get it, get it, get it, get it. I'm buying us time. Gets himself back away to safety now. Dean throwing out the tongue lash, just buying time to retreat. And Columbia College gets the Baron clean.
They get the Baron and they get out. Nicely done there from Columbia College. The pick onto Youngbin, getting punished. And it's all been on the back of the hard engage that they have drafted. So many of the plays are created around the Varus ultimate. So here's the initial play quite a while ago. Stumpy trying to buy time. The global ultimate here coming in from Dean, bringing in FNRL. He nails the Varus ult onto Descraton. That's 1 kill over to them. And then over by the Raptor pit, Youngbin was trying to pick up a bit of extra farm, and they are able to collapse, get the kill, force Baron. They're up slightly in gold, but the Baron buff is going to give them potential to pick up a lot more.
Yeah, let's see exactly what they can get from it. That's what I'm interested here, because we have 3 turrets to 3 turrets to count going into this situation. Both sides are now tasked with that thing we talked about last time, where it's harder to push into that second row of turrets. But with the Baron buff, you would think Columbia College are sitting in a spot to boost those global gold counters.
Yeah, you definitely do expect that. And it gets even scarier when you're playing against all this engage and they have the Baron buff, because if you got caught and you die, your base can be going down so ridiculously fast. Oh.
Every mistake becomes that
much
they're
more
going punishing
bot.
as Dean decides, all right, we're just going to go push bottom. We don't really care about this fight middle. That's not our concern. They're trying to out UCI, avoid the fights, go for the objectives. Tier 2 turret does get taken down there, but now it's going to be a full-blown fight. Irelia ult going to be unleashed already into the back line, but Youngbin is stuck down. The Varus does get taken out. FNRL out of the picture means a lot of the damage not now available as Captain Nuke tries to escape, gets leap struck right back down into the spawn platform as a 4 versus 3 will now continue for the side of Columbia College. Descraton and Latman still very critically alive.
Yeah, so much poke still available here for UCI. This is actually kind of a scary push for Columbia, unless they can catch someone out. I mean, Stumpy is getting pretty low. If they catch much more poke, you have to leave.
Yeah, that paddle star hits Julian. He's out of there.
I think this is Rip Jax.
See you later. Descraton hitting the paddle stars when he needs to hit them there. Does get another kill for himself. And let's take a look at this play bot.
So this looks like a really cool play, but I mean, they move 3 members bot so fast, but then it's a 5v3, right? And Dean actually did a really good job here, eating up his AD carry and keeping him safe for so long. I thought he was going to be able to survive, but then Captain Nuke gets the reset with the Blaze Surge onto him and is able to kind of critically solo him down. Had Captain Nuke not been able to kill the Varus, that push can very easily continue. Or, even if Julian had TP'd in right at the bat, that could have been maybe more of a continued play. But either way, UCI makes the collapse, gets the kill on the critical member, and picks one up on the way out with that kill on a Stumpy.
Columbia College building these advantages slowly but surely up to about 1,000 gold ahead of their opponents when they were down 3,000 or 4,000. Earlier, the Varus, now Mercurial Scimitar, fully completed, needlessly large rod hanging out in the inventory, working on more of that AP. As Captain Nuke has to have some fancy feet to get away from this one. Julian throws down the Vision of Empire. Never Move makes its way onto the Aurelia. There comes your follow-up CC. There comes your burst. Captain Nuke still trying to walk away from that one. Nice multi-man stun, but 3 versus 1. You aren't getting away.
He's not getting away, but he bought so much time, they're going to get mid lane turret. So not a bad trade. Bloodwater trying to buy time here in between. They knock down a turret, so a nice kind of little guerrilla warfare there from UCI, able to get 1 turret for the kill. Surprised, honestly, to see Evan RL fully complete the Mercurial, actually, before going back for the death cap. But sometimes just having a little extra lifesteal can be really nice against these poke-style comps. If you're getting hit by Mystic Shot or even, you know, a Paddle Star, it can make you have to back off. So he now has the extra lifesteal in addition to the protection from his team, and they're going to try to push it down mid. Will claim at least 1 turret.
And the Baron power play that showed up a couple of moments ago showed that it was about 2,500 gold. Baron power play from the side of Columbia College. Kench gets hit by the Drowsy. All right, still walking away with about 40% HP, but has to be careful. Another one of those finds its way towards Dean. It's QSS or bust.
And this is a small thing, but if you're going to use your QSS or cleanse, you should be using your cleanse generally, because the QSS is what breaks the Skarner ult, right? And, and the cleanse does not. So since he actually committed his QSS, if they even noticed it, and if this does happen, there is more potential for Youngbin to actually pick him off with that Skarner ulti.
I guess, to play devil's advocate, there is a shorter cooldown on QSS, so if the entire call from the team is, all right, everybody just back off, we're not fighting again for a couple minutes anyway, the QSS is justifiable there, but at the end of the day, we're still looking at a very close game here, Azale. Despite the fact that things have been going the way of Columbia College for the past couple of minutes ever since the Baron, it's not like UCI is just letting them run away with the game. Once the Baron power play was done, each side had taken a single turret. When you can go even in turrets, when your opponents have Baron, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, definitely the case. But there is still, like, on that clock ticking, right? Like, Captain Nuke has honestly played very, very... Oh, the catch! That man, do for us out the QSS. But, you know, Captain Nuke has played a very strong game. And Stumpy got picked on a little bit on the top side. He got put behind. The clock is still ticking. Jax is going to become Jax, right? You know, he is on 2 items, 3 items for Captain Nuke, but Aurelia will eventually just straight up not be able to 1v1 the Jax anymore. And when that happens, it gets a lot tougher. But there's a flank coming in from Youngbin here.
Youngbin wants to make this happen with the pull. Columbia College does a good job staying together.
For Bloodwater.
Stumpy unleashes the counter-strike, but now that important tool is not there, Sejuani ultimate also going to be missed. Bucksack with the whiff could be pretty big here. Drowsy comes through, Dean gobbles him up, keeps him safe. Stumpy going to be taken low now, very much in danger of dying. Wants to jump back over the wall, doesn't have anything to jump to just yet. Youngbin still looking to try to find a pull. Wants to go further. Bucksack going to be taken low. There goes your pull onto the Kench. That's the QSS that wasn't ready. And that's 2 kills for UCI.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. You use the QSS instead of that cleanse, and then he doesn't have it. And not only does it get him killed, it actually gets Bucksack killed as well. So costly use there from Dean. And yeah, I mean, you can use the QSS as the shorter cooldown, but that ends up making them pay big time. And this is just UCI kiting them out, playing it very well. Beautiful flash from Descraton to actually avoid Bucksack's Sejuani ultimate, or he would have gone down immediately. And then Stumpy getting poked out, trying to kite back, but it's full retreat from the team as Julian is split off. The Varus is already pretty much out of there, and Dean does get pulled in, as we know, leading to 2 more kills.
Getting a Skarner pull on a Tom Kench that already ate somebody, it's like a big old party pinata. Not only do you get the pinata, you get everything inside of it, which is just what the doctor ordered here.
You get the birthday cake, and then the girl pops out, and there's the second one.
And then everything's fantastic. And then you get an Infernal Drake to go with it. That's your bonus present.
Yep, it's cherry on top.
56,000 to 56,000 gold, though. Still about as close as the game could be. Flash for Flash, Julian for Bloodwater. They wanted to go for the pick here. Couldn't quite find it. Captain Nuke still looking to get himself away. Throws down one of the knives to potentially need to drop that stun. Won't use the other one just yet. Still seeing if they can find some more damage. Stumpy! Ooh, that's a lot of damage from that Zoe. Dean wants to get away from this one. There goes your Vanguard's Edge, and there goes your Tom Kench. No way out of that.
Yeah, Columbia College is just getting split up time and time again. UCI is sticking together as a squad, and they keep just kind of arbitrarily running off to different areas, and they're just getting picked time and time again.
Descraton didn't even need the bubble, just takes down Stumpy point blank like that. Bucksack will try to hold on a little bit in this 1 versus 2, but can't do it. Julian now trying to escape the follow from Captain Nuke and Descraton. He's got Evan RL right there next to him. Remember, Evan still does so much damage.
Oh, Drowsy.
But let's talk about damage. Drowsy would have surely guaranteed the kill there if Evan RL did not have that Mercurial Scimitar ready to fire off. Captain Nuke walks up. Evan shoots out a single arrow. Descraton still wants more. The bubble not finding its way onto Evan this time around. Julian and Evan are trying to avoid this while their base gets hit by both the Ezreal and the Skarner. And UCI's macro is again just where it needs to be. Evan RL will buy the time he can, but it's not very much as he gets taken down by Captain Nuke and the inhibitor falls for Columbia College.
And the worst part about that long chase is now it's such a delayed death timer that it essentially guarantees the Baron for UCI. Unless there's a steal from Bucksack, Evan RL will not be alive before the Baron is dead, so he can't actually get over there to come contest it. And Columbia College is just a bit out of sorts. They're not all together. They're not being grouped up, and they keep getting into these little skirmishes, getting picked off. And that's really where UCI's comp kind of excels. So it is going to be UCI Baron, double Infernal, Baron buff, inhibitor already down mid, and now a few thousand in the gold lead means they are in full control of this game.
And that just feels bad for Columbia College for where they were before to where they've been now. And it goes back to that strong mental state I was talking about UCI when we started this series. They seem so level-headed, they seem so calm even when they're losing the game. They know the steps that need to be taken. They don't take shortcuts. They play it slowly and methodically, and now they're in a spot again in the driver's seat, a few thousand gold ahead, and Columbia College is going to have to respond somehow, or we're going to match point.
Yeah, and I mean, you were really hoping that at the 35-minute mark where we're kind of approaching, that Jax would have fully taken over in the 1v1 by this point, but because he is still 3,000 or so gold behind, you're not really going to be able to have that edge. You're not going to be able to have that advantage. And scaling be damned. Yes, if they can keep holding on, he will get there. That's still going to happen. There have been a lot of mistakes, a lot of getting caught out for Stumpy in this game, getting picked off by Zoe a number of times, splitting up from the squad. You need to be with your Tom Kench where he can save you from those sleepy bubble troubles. And UCI has been able to find the opportunities, and Columbia College is trying to hold on.
Evan RL, Chains of Corruption don't find the mark, so he loses his ultimate, loses most of his health bar, and now Columbia College is in danger of losing their own base. Mid inhibitor already down. Youngbin firing off the Righteous Glory. Threatening the engage is enough to make sure the turret falls, and now UCI continues the push. They get the second lane of inhibitor down, and it's only going to get worse from here as Julian and the rest of Columbia College will try to hold the line, but what are you going to do? 4 versus 5.
Yeah, Stumpy needs the base. I mean, I guess they're just making the call to try to hold on. They at least knew they were going to sacrifice the bottom inhibitor because he was just trying to push out top to defend the triple inhib getting taken. Now he is back to base, but the Nexus turrets are under threat. We'll see if they can hold on. They're going in.
Sejuani ultimate misses. Julian trying to find his way into the back line here, utilizing the power of the Swain ultimate. Irelia ulti creating a zone of control right in the middle of the fight. Captain Nuke taken low. Julian taken down. Bucksack has to flash away, but the damage continues raining in. Evan RL barely walks down, but he won't get away for long. A killing spree for Descraton will be the end of the game here as UCI goes up 2-0.
Hell of a game there from UCI. This one a lot more hotly contested. So many kills, so many fights there. And Columbia College had their chances. They really did draft and play well around the engage, but too many careless mistakes in the late game, too much getting split up, too much getting picked off from Columbia College, and UCI able to make it work. And Captain Nuke in particular, really impressing, getting counterpicked with this Irelia and Jax matchup, but always being able to stay ahead and managing his team fights so incredibly well. He had so much relevance both in the side lane and in the 5v5, and I'm just super impressed.
The improvement was there from Columbia College between games 1 and 2. They definitely had a better game this second time around, but it's still not enough. UCI proves once more they're just in a tier above, and Columbia College only gets one more chance to try to make those adaptations that will be enough to finally tilt the odds in their favor and give them that win, because 2-0, UCI's at match point.
And it's tough because you gave up your red side chance at a victory, right? So UCI could now select red side for game 3. They get to counterpick you in the top lane. And when Stumpy had his chance here, he wasn't able to pull through and really kind of take over in that side lane. And coming out of game 1, I was saying, okay, well, Yes, UCI clearly outclassed them, but this was also a drafting issue. You're drafting no hard engage against a team that has this wonderful macro game and great split push. Game 2, I think their comp was fantastic. I think they had all the tools that they needed to win. They just didn't execute. And UCI, played a better game, and they're coming away with the victory and sitting at match point.
They definitely deserve that victory here in game number 2. But to hear more about how they brought us to this point, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. We are here ready to talk about this one. We've got a new guest here, Faith from UT Dallas, their jungler. Top 8 at the collegiate tournament, of course, really exceptional as well. You guys won the South Division. Sadly, did lose to Columbia College, but losing to the finalists, I think, is still a pretty good run. Talk to me about what this sort of season was like for you and your team.
It was a pretty successful season, I would say, especially considering our season prior to this. Without the support of our school, it was pretty hard for 5 players to come together, just 5 friends to come together and, perform our best. But I think all things considered, we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I agree. Again, making it top 8, losing to one of the finalists is honestly a really, really good season. You're looking to do this again next year, I presume?
Yes. None of our players are graduating, so I think that we'll have a pretty similar roster for next year.
That's something I like about this tournament is there's not many seniors in it, so a lot of grudge matches hopefully coming back next year, and hopefully you can get your revenge against some of these Columbia guys.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to clap them for next year. Of course, so let's talk about the game that we did have here. 2-0 start to UCI. This game really close, though, honestly. There's a while where it felt like Columbia had the advantage on this one. We have the champions on your screen right there as far as the champion select was going. Anything you saw that sort of struck you in champ select?
I think that UCI definitely got 5 priority picks. I like Columbia's comp, but UCI's comp just outclasses it.
I think it was nice to see Columbia kind of go to what we were saying was lacking in the previous game, some playmaking on some of the other carries. But, I think Julian had a much better game this time around, not stuck on this Karma pick. Right. Unfortunately for Stumpy, did not go nearly as well as they got played that skill matchup. Aurelia Jackson kind of fell behind. Youngbin did camp him a little bit, but he definitely underperformed in this game.
Right, and it sort of spoke to why Red Soda's picked up, right? They saw the Aurelia, then went for the Jax. It was a matchup where I think, as Ale said, as long as you can go equal in farm, you'll then get to outscale later on. And he never got to really play a fair 1v1 was the thing.
Yeah.
Right? It was like constantly like he would be tower dove, and the team would then collapse afterwards. But again, the sort of UCI having better macro sort of came true, where even if the 1v1 is supposed to be good, it didn't matter because it was a 2v1 constantly. And that seemed to be kind of the name of the game here. Again, better macro ended up winning the day.
Yeah, and I think you have to give a tip of the cap also to Dean's Tom Kench. I think there were a number of times it came up pretty big over the course of this game, but the bot lanes are mostly non-interactive too much. It's a lot of farming, and then eventually you see these other plays happening around the map. Descraton having some really big plays on Zoe.
Do you think we'd see, like, in Game 3 and maybe 4 and 5, you see more roaming supports? Like you bring up like a Thresher and Alistair and you try to affect the maps because the bottom lane isn't fighting that much anyway?
Potentially, I think it's one of those things where you have to find a way to stabilize the soul laners first. Would be like, well, what do we need to do in the draft? That'd be like what I'm talking about right here. Like, all right, Stumpy, you went, what was it, like 2-7 and was down 30 CS? Yeah, you got camp, but like, what do we need to do to get a better performance out of you? Do you need more jungle attention or something like that?
Yeah, fair enough. So let's talk about what did happen in the game, of course, as we go on. We have some replays to talk about here. One of the big ones, a mid-game team fight. The UCI came out ahead. This felt like a fairly late Dragon contest from Columbia College.
Do you think you would have wanted to continue to fight this after the Dragon goes down, Faith, or would you have backed off here?
For Columbia?
Yeah.
No, definitely not. You can kind of see of what happened, actually. Stumpy was by himself. He got pulled in by Skarner. It was a nice set jolt that separated the team. I think that Latman could have played more aggressive here. I don't think he needed a flash there because, he can just run him down. But Descraton had a good chase after this.
Yeah, Descraton having some big cojones on the big stage, kind of flashing in with no HP, down to like, 20 HP,
40,
picks up a flash, flashes on another flash, flashes over the Varus E.
I like this.
Yeah, sets up, he goes down for it, but it is what finally lets Latman get back in range to clean up the rest of these kills, so. Good team play, Descraton giving his body up for the rest of the team, but
absolutely the right choice.
It was a very close fight that could have gone pretty bad for them.
Yeah.
It's one of those not KDA plays, right? You add a death to it, and you're like, my scoreline went down. But
not a good player, dude.
Yeah, KDA, all that matters. So sorry, Nix, you're gonna get cut for the next one. I think, new player coming in maybe. But yeah, it does feel like UCI again, like just showing that they're made of slightly stronger stuff. The rest of that mid game was a lot closer again. Columbia College a lot of good plays, but we have another replay coming up, which is the sort of penultimate fight here where these picks kind of seal the game with the Baron.
It definitely kind of broke down a little bit for both teams. This is actually going to end up in the second Baron of the game because Columbia College got one off some picks that they found on UCI. This time it's the other way around. UCI finding some pickoffs. They get Dean first, who had done a really good job of saving targets when the Aurelia and Skarner would go in, or transporting people to counter out some of the other global plays. But that time not working out, he gets caught, Stumpy gets caught. They eventually find Buckzak the jungler, and this is going to allow them to take a pretty free Baron, which they pushed with pretty well.
Yeah, QSS from Ezreal.
We didn't like it?
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah, you know, it speeds up. Mercurial, right?
Oh, yeah.
No.
If it's Scimitar's move speed, I don't know if he had it yet.
I don't think he had it yet.
Okay, then it's completely trolling. I remember that happened actually with the Tom Kench once as well. He burns QSS on like a sleep or something, and it doesn't have a Skarner pull, and it's like, ooh. Feels bad. Again, this game was a lot closer. Like, you saw the first game gold graph, and it was just downhill in a sea of red. This one, you saw that dip where, like, Columbia College had time in the middle. Like, when you have a game like this, right, like, is it like, okay, we know we can win. Like, we had this good mid-game. Like, do you fire yourself back up if you're Columbia College here?
If you're UTD, no. But if you're Columbia, if you're Columbia,
well, if you're UTD 2-0 means you're already out.
Yeah,
Mental boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big performance difference between the Aurelia and the Jax, not just in terms of like some of the stats you see, like the damage numbers and the deaths and stuff, but just game influence as well. Even once the Baron ended up on the Jax, he wasn't really finding the backline to solo out. Zoe and Ezreal were being very mobile, and a lot of their fights worked the best when they would engage onto Jax, and so didn't really have a chance to do Jax things for much of this game.
Yeah, it's kind of too bad. So did get informed. Red side picked once again. UCI, of course, their choice in Game 3 is the higher seed. Back to red side. So yeah, red side clearly the side of the day for this one. I assume we're going to see more top lane counter picks. Anything special you think has to come out now for Columbia College because they have to blind something?
Personally, I think they're kind of doomed.
Fair enough.
I think UCI has a good strat of triple banning 3 mids, which is Julian's whole champ pool, and then counter picking top, which is like their only remaining win condition. So I think that they're pretty set to win.
All right, so you're the jungler. It falls on you now to find some cheesy pick to get your team a lead. What would be your cheese pick that you fall back to when you need to just put on the carry pants yourself?
My cheese pick?
Yeah, yours.
We'll go with Kane.
Kane?
Sorry, Kane 1v9?
Yeah. On this patch, not on current.
Sure, okay.
Yeah. Current patch is a little different from what I hear.
Yeah.
Gonna be a fun one. Get your mid laner to play some Taric, pick up the Master Yi maybe, you know. Go for the 2v8 on this one. Either way, Columbia College and UCI have been trading blows, but it is now do or die from the representatives of the Northern Conference. We'll see if they can extend the series or if UCI claims a championship in 3 straight games after the break. See you soon.
They use the Skarner pull there as well. Vanguard.
Oh, the disarm!
The disarm will keep him away, but it's still going to be a 1-for-1 full-blown fight, and it is multiple members of UCI collapsing on the top half of the map from Columbia College.
2. I think that's Jack's flash.
Go, go,
nice!
go! Kill them all, kill them all, let's go! Nice, nice, nice!
Let's go!
We can win this.
Morgana. I'm coming. Look at Zoe.
Nice. I am
look at Aurelia.
This
is me, dude. Watch me.
Aurelia damage. Barris.
Nice.
Buckzak going to be taken low. There goes your pull onto the catch. That's the QSS that wasn't ready, and that's 2 kills for UCI.
Swing. Nice! Let's go!
I've shield.
Mister, okay. I killed Barris. Nice!
That's it.
End the game. Let's go, end the game.